We consecrate to Thee, O Jesus of love, the trials and joys and all the happiness of our family life, and we beseech Thee to pour out Thy best blessings on all its members, absent and present, living and dead, and when one after the other we shall have fallen asleep in Thy blessed bosom, may all of us find again our family united in Thy sacred heart.
Devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus began around the year 1000 and was entirely mystical. The mystics and the monks embraced the Sacred Heart. John of the Cross wrote in The Dark Night of the Soul, "I went out into the world with no other light except the one that was burning in my heart." In the 1600s, St. Francis de Sales wrote, "May God live in my heart, for that is what it is made for." St. Francis de Sales, along with Jane de Chantal, established the Visitation Nuns. In Paray-le-Monial, a small town in France, on December 29, 1672, the feast day of St. John the Apostle, Jesus appeared to a Visitation nun. He asked her to establish devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus.
When Christ appears to Margaret Mary in the 17th century, it is only a record of his heart, his transpired heart. Here is his heart, who so loved humanity and is so bad loved. Voici ce cœur qui a tant aimé les hommes et qui en est si peu aimé.
St. Margaret Mary was a Visitation nun, devoted to the heart of Jesus, devoted to Jesus from her childhood, completely consumed by her love for him and consumed with his love for her and of her own littleness, which is the most beautiful part, and her own littleness gives way to all his power, and the recognition she's a great model for that, the simplicity, the poverty of our own littleness, and the little we can do without him, and all that's possible with him. He opened to her many of the secrets of his heart, and through different apparitions, and she was a simple nun, completely devoted to the heart of Jesus.
After Jesus appeared to Margaret Mary, devotion to the Sacred Heart spread throughout France and then into the world. Many churches became dedicated to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. The most famous is the Basilica in Paris, Sacré-Cœur. Two elements of the devotion that are particularly appealing are the suggestion of going to Mass on the first Friday of the month. Another element of the devotion is the suggestion of a holy hour, an hour spent in meditation. The contemplative heritage of the Church sometimes gets lost in the rituals of today. The practice of a holy hour is a lovely time of quiet and contemplation, a time to say, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening."
Devotion to the Sacred Heart really and truly has helped us to understand and appreciate and enter divine intimacy. It is a devotion through which God comes close to us and we draw close to God in the heart of Jesus. So there's the wounded heart of Jesus, the one that was pierced with a lance at the time of his death. That wounded heart is presented and revealed. And on the other side, I think very often, at least my experience and the experience of many of the people I've spoken with, that their devotion to the Sacred Heart often enough is connected with their own vulnerability. But as wounded people, they approach the wounded heart of Jesus. And somehow, in this meeting of two vulnerabilities, the vulnerability of Jesus and our vulnerability, something very, very powerful happens. Because the connection in that vulnerability is love.
To be in love with Jesus, to love him in the Eucharist, and to be like a candle, just love for him and for him alone, and to leave the rest to him. The heart of Jesus is an ocean of love. It's love, only love. A heart that loves me, that loves to be involved in every moment of my life, in every moment of your life, in every thought, in every action. A heart so simple and profoundly, deeply, hopelessly, ardently in love with you.
As this devotion unfolds, it draws us into another aspect of intimacy. And it's connected with love. Because you see, at a very deep level, each one of us is unique and individual. And really in this large world, we are a solitary presence. We're very aware, even if we're in the middle of a city, even if we have lots of friends and acquaintances, that there is within us a radical solitude. We are alone. And there are moments when that reality flashes clearly ahead of us. But we're not destined to simply stay alone. Ultimately, our destiny is for communion, connection. And one of the powerful elements of devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus is a movement from solitude to communion. Recognizing our own solitude, but moving toward a holy connection. And that is extraordinary.
Move into that presence, move into that oneness, that communion, that heart to heart. That's what spending, you don't have to say much except, here I am. And my God, my only good, my all, thou art wholly mine, and I am wholly thine, and let him do the rest. So the more we move into silence and in presence, the more we open to his action, his love within us. Turn to him with all your confidence, all your trust. And as he says to St. Margaret Mary, if you believe, you will see the power of my heart. And in every little battle, every little trouble, big and large, that's trying to take away our peace, we just say to him and give him his own words. Jesus, you said if you believe, you will see the power of my heart. And give him his own words and say, I believe in you.
I just want to say I've always loved the Sacred Heart. When I was a child of about 5, I had this picture, this sweet, sickly picture of the Sacred Heart, but I loved it. I kept it under my pillow, and I would always talk to Jesus every night. And I've always had that devotion. I've always known that the Sacred Heart will take care of you. Someday I will see this dear Jesus in person, and it just makes me feel very peaceful and very comfortable and unafraid.
My sister is a missionary of charity with Mother Teresa's nuns, and she's currently stationed in the Bronx. My sister has always had this very, very strong sense of love for all people, all creatures, love for animals, love for her brothers and sisters, love for all the people. And it was primarily the fact that she was called to serve the poorest of the poor, the lepers, the dying, unwed mothers, children, orphans. And it was this love that was so strong in her life that was the prime moving force in her life. And I think that right there, because we can get bogged down with so many technical and theological defenses and apologetics regarding a lot of Catholic devotions, especially the Sacred Heart of Jesus. But that, what I just described about my sister, is a perfect textbook example in action of what it means to have a devotion to the Sacred Heart. It transforms. We are not only drawn into the reality of Jesus' love, but it transforms us and leads us to, like Jesus pouring himself out, we now do that for other people. Iconography and devotion to the Sacred Heart are very similar. They dovetail on a theological level and on a devotional level. This icon of the Sacred Heart, it's to show Jesus with his heart exposed and the love that is outpouring from his heart for humanity. The whole sense of the icon is one of outpouring of self. And what's interesting is in the woodwork, you have all this polychromed and gold-leafed lettering. And basically what the verbiage is saying is that the heart of Jesus has been torn, has been ripped for our sake. And because of that blood that is outpoured for us, we need to imitate what it is that Jesus is doing by showing us his Sacred Heart, which is ultimately loving each other.
The letter to the Hebrews says he was like us in all things but sin. One truly remarkable way in which this closeness of God to us has come alive is through devotion to the Sacred Heart. And in that devotion, there really is an uncovering, if you will, of the humanity of God, the human experience of God made flesh. You know, the heart is, of course, the seat of human emotion, and it's what pumps blood through our system, makes us alive, and it's also the seat of emotion. At least that's how we consider it. When we step back from all of this, it really is rather extraordinary that we have an experience of God in human terms. And what could be more human than a connection with the human heart? Two hearts come together, shared vulnerability, out of solitude into communion, with words, but also in silence. Intimacy, divine intimacy too, if you will, requires communication. And often enough, that communication will take the form of words. We will speak from the heart to the heart. The old Latin adage, cor ad cor loquitur, heart speaks to heart. So there is an element of language, words, verbal communication, if you will. But there's a whole other side too, in this intimate connection that moves beyond words. In fact, interestingly enough, studies have shown, especially in the context of psychotherapy, that 90% of the real communication that occurs between a therapist and a client is nonverbal. The really significant communication doesn't happen in the words, but beyond the words, around the words. It's nonverbal. Very often people will pray. They'll pray a litany of the Sacred Heart. They will bring their particular petitions to Jesus and verbalize them. But intimacy, even human intimacy, often moves beyond words. It's outside of the range of what's verbal. Sometimes it is just simply being present to each other. And in that silence, there is a depth of communication and communion. And so it is with our experience, the Sacred Heart of Jesus. We may speak, but eventually we will be led into deeper realms. And those deeper realms of communion and connection are not verbal. They happen on a silent plane, in the quiet, in the communion.
We consecrate to Thee, O Jesus of love, the trials and joys and all the happiness of our family life, and we beseech Thee to pour out Thy best blessings on all its members, absent and present, living and dead. And when one after the other we shall have fallen asleep in Thy blessed bosom, may all of us find again our family united in Thy Sacred Heart.